Yesterday I was coming back from Statue of Unity. It was around Rajpipla. A lane of road was closed. A traffic constable handling the traffic movement signaled me to go in the wrong way for a section of road. Being an Ahmedabadi, I am quite obedient in terms of following traffic rules. I hesitated first, but upon persistent signaling, I drove in a wrong way. When my car crossed the constable, he asked me why you were hesitating. There is no way to move the traffic without allowing you to go in a wrong side. This scenario is equivalent to current political scenario in India. We want to move towards politics of meritocracy, but we are shackled with traditional ways of doing politics. We will discuss all such issues with our guest speaker Shri Jayant Kathiriya, who is state head of Swavlambi Bharat Abhiyan and Rashtriya Sasanyojak of Akhil Bharatiya Grahak Panchayat. Welcome on Mohmaya and Mehnat sir. Recently, 5 assembly elections in India concluded. Out of 5 states, BJP won 4 states, and one state of Punjab, chose to change the government, and they went with a new party as such, AAP, and they came into the power with a thunderous victory. So you can say that we saw a theme of change versus continuity. There are a couple of assembly elections lined up to be coming up this year as well in India, and we want to weigh in whether the public which is going to vote during those assembly election go for change or they will go for continuity. So in this regard, we'll discuss all such topics and the recent developments in politics with Jayant sir.
Well, Vijay, frankly speaking, human minds always seek the change. The eternal attitude of psychology is to find something new, find something better. But when we speak in context to the political scenario in our country, there are so many factors which work simultaneously. Whether it is election, certain factor works and certain not. If there is no election and the party is in power and managing the business of the state, even during those periods, people do wish change depending upon the ups and downs in the economic or in sociology or in the cultural events. Let us narrow down our subject to recently concluded elections in the 5 states of our country. Every political party tried their level best to point out we will be offering this much once we elected. It is in context to economic gain to citizens, in context to religion to certain sect of the society, in tax exemption or the free, or the facilities without spending any naya paisa. But voters nowadays have broader thinking while casting the vote. So, when they cast the vote, they pre-decided which are the prevalent factors. And specifically in the recently concluded elections, people preferred the development. Through this discussion, it is not our one-person intention to praise the ruling party or to criticize other sects. But normal citizen, what he wants? Little peace, little security, and security in terms of family, economy, continuity of job, and little development around his society or the village or the town or the city. So, I conclude with your questions by telling that voters of present time is more clever than the leader who tries to give some offers in the minds of the voters.
Right, right. Sir, Thomas Jefferson once, very well said
Yeah,
that if you want to have a better democracy, you need to have the informed electorate. If the electorate are informed, then don't need to worry about the democracy per se. Now, in today's time, when information is flowing free flowing, and voters get certain sort of data, certain set of news, information on their fingertips on their mobile phones, and social media is sort of forced to reckon with, and there are ills of social media as well, you can say, like like during 2018, if you remember, there was a WhatsApp forward which was going on haywire, like there are certain gang of child abductors
yes,
roaming around the India and abducting the child. It was a complete hearsay, and because of that hearsay, around 20 people were lost their life also. So these are
lynching issue.
lynching issues.
Yeah.
So these are adverse impact of social media too. So what do you think? It's a better way for voters to get informed about the prevalent issues, and without getting swayed by the narrative, make up their mind to think about the issues which really matter on the ground, and in that regard they should vote for it. So what do you think, what is the best way for the voters to get informed?
So, practically speaking, Thomas Jefferson was hinting about the direct connection between the leader and the subject. Subject means the praja. Likewise, E.H. Sutherland, sociologist of USA during the year 1926, he wrote some essays, sociological change in the society. So he is forecasted. After 50 years, the truth will reverse into untruth.
Right.
So, whole scenario is going to change. That means the belief, the trust, the faith, the ideas and the ideology all are being influenced and shaped by certain powerful persons. In that context, Jefferson's telling was that if you inform your voters the reality about the political, geopolitical, geographical and economic situation, and if he is sufficiently fed with the good information, out of 100 voters, 60 voters will trust you. And Vijay bhai, you already know, to win the election, you need only plus 20% vote.
Right, correct.
So, connectivity to the subject is the प्रश्न राजा का रहता है। राजा जब अपनी प्रजा के साथ अच्छी तरह से संवाद करता है तो प्रजा को राजा के प्रति संदेह नहीं रहता है। संदेह के पश्चात विश्वास और श्रद्धा का जन्म होता है। जब विश्वास और श्रद्धा जन्म लेती है तो सुखाकारी अपने आप अपने घर में प्रवेश करती है।
Very well said, sir. So, sir, you touched upon the very pertinent issue that to win the election in India, you hardly need around 20-30% of vote. With the proper arithmetic, you can form the government. Now, maybe this is the reason that we see some seasonal topics propping up during the election campaigns. Like, if you remember, Anna Hazare movement, right?
Yeah.
It was a watershed movement in Indian politics. And that movement propelled Aam Aadmi Party into people's imagination, and they formed the government in Delhi.
Yeah.
Now they are forced to reckon with, right? Nowadays, during that time also, there was another movement by Baba Ramdev, Kala Dhan Wapis Lane Wala, right? And everything was centered around corruption. Nowadays, we don't hear much about the corruption. So, and there are many other points which we hear during the election campaigns, and suddenly during that period of time we think that now society is going to change around this topic, and after a couple of months back or a couple of years back, nobody hears about those topics. Corruption per se has become a non-issue, and I think people have readily accepted that a certain amount of corruption is going to happen, and they have taken into stride. So do you think the seasonal topics which are propping up, they are brought up to bring a larger societal change, or just to carry out the electoral mobilization?
Specifically speaking, corruption is an old and ancient issue. Coming back from ancient to modern era, corruption, everybody says, is an evil to the society's progress, economic progress. But आज सभी कहते हैं भ्रष्टाचार व्यवहार बन चुका है. जब व्यवहार बन चुका होता है तब व्यवहार स्वीकृति के आधार पर व्यवहार बनता है. Your behavior is shaped by the continuity of your habit. So what we have today, creeping up new incidents are only motivated for a specific purpose. And you rightly said that corruption is not an issue which can shape the electorate, because everybody knows that A party or B party, this is going to happen.
Right.
Even as on date, I am facing the same issue, you are facing the same issue, even the politician himself is facing.
Correct.
Let me speak out of order. One big politician said, I gave up the construction business and doing the contractual work with the government only due to reasons that I ought to give bribe to the government officers. I am openly speaking.
Right.
And I do not want to disclose the name of that person. So, corruption is a dormant and sleeping partner of the politician and the businessman. So, to come into the power, this is not an appealing issue to the voters.
And I
Therefore,
guess, sir, like corruption cannot be weeded out by bringing some ordinance or a bill, I guess.
No.
It is a societal issue.
Societal issue.
Governance
yes.
cannot eradicate the corruption as such unless and until at the grassroots level people like us
Yes.
change. I don't think so corruption is going to weed out from the society. What do you think?
No, you are very much right. Because inner will coupled with character can only give chance to remove corruption to the extent of 35% only. I am a good person. I never take bribe. I have good character. So at the maximum strength, I will be forming the part of only 35%. So to change the human behavioral science of the society at large is an old ancient issue. During the time of Chanakya also this was the issue. And therefore, while writing the Kautilya, he has pondered the things that merchant should not cheat his consumers, customers. So, political will and formation or enactment of act is not sufficient to remove the corruption from the society. This is what I think.
Right, sir. Right, sir. So another thing is, I always think about Indian politics is all about identity politics, and every party has got earmarked their votes around their certain sectors, right? And many people think that when India will come out from this caste-based system or people voting on the religion line, in a way, in my opinion, see, like there would be a single voter for him to get services out of this humongous system. It would be quite difficult. So people form into groups, and then they put forward their demands, and when group put forth their demand, it is more likely to be heard and catered to compared to a single person asking for something. So in a way, group formation has brought up government services to certain sectors or certain sections of the society. But then this, entire thing of like, appeasement politics crept in. So intention might have been right, but then system itself, turned on this good intention sort of stuff, and now there is a scenario when if you want to corner votes from certain sections of society, you need to portray certain section of society against that section. Then you can mobilize the vote. Do you think it is like good for an healthy democracy, or in a longer term it may have greater implication to the society per se? What are your thoughts on this thing?
Late Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi bring the modification in the constitution by inserting the word secular. So, our country is anciently based on 4 ashram. Accordingly, since then, these ashrams are divided into the caste system.
Right.
Slowly and gradually, with the passage of time and interchangeability of business, thoughts, ideology, and the behavior, we reach today that we will be facing less issues regarding the caste. But for the politics to retain the power is the principal issue. For retaining the power, they work out the various modalities. And one of the modality is this: मुझे विजय के सामने खड़ा कर दीजिए, क्योंकि मैं विजय को पराजित होना देखना चाहता हूं. वैमनस्य, विसंवादिता, और एक समूह को दूसरे समूह के सामने वैचारिक, धार्मिक और सांस्कृतिक दृष्टिकोण से विरुद्ध दिशा में खड़ा करना, यह आमतौर पर चुनाव के समय पर नजर आने वाली घटना बन गई है. बट वंस इलेक्शन फेज इज ओवर, पावर इज रिटेन, बाकी बचे हुए समय के दरमियान देहाती प्रजा के बीच चुनाव के दरमियान खड़ी हुई खाई कभी मिट नहीं सकती. सभी समाजशास्त्रियों के लिए, मनोचिकित्सक और मनोवैज्ञानिक के लिए यह एक बड़ा पेचीदा प्रश्न और मसला है. सो व्हाट रिमेन्स इन आवर हैंड? डिवाइडेड सोसाइटी, divided ideology. Even in that context, good ideology is not being supported by so-called intellectuals who are on the opposite side. Why I am on opposite side? Because my ideology is not accepted, and that is the only reason. Otherwise, you are a very good person. In rest of the sense, I support you from 3 corners, but when you show me your face, you are my opposite. Society had continued to divide like this until political will and wish will continue. Society will continue. This is little bit emotional issue, but it gives agonies not to me only, but good people scattered all over the corners of the society, thinking in one direction for a good utopian state. They are very unhappy, and most probably I may be speaking from their viewpoint. Therefore, I am unhappy. This should not be happening. We all good people should try and strive to bring some amicable solution to the extent of 40%, so that we pass in this standard and society promote our society itself to next standard. This should be our goals and objectives.
So, sir, like you are saying that nobody likes it, and we also believe that society should move away from this divisive agenda per se and move towards the politics of meritocracy.
Meritocracy.
Right? Do you think it happening during our lifetime?
I am hopeful because I am not rightly we pointed out in the beginning कि हम किसी व्यक्ति
Right.
या सरकार के विषय में बात नहीं कर रहे,
Obviously.
लेकिन जिसे सकारात्मकता दिखाई देती है वह व्यक्ति या समूह सकारात्मक रहता है।
Correct.
काफी सारी चीजें मेरे और मेरे समाज के साथ, पूरे समाज के साथ ठीक नहीं हुई है, अब दुरुस्त हो रही है।
Right.
So I don't say completely it is a Ram Rajya, but things are happening slowly and gradually. People are giving up their bad habits, even I too, by way of legislation, by way of inspiration from other persons, by way of self-motivation, by way of little will to do something good to the society, I am improving.
Right.
I trust I am improving. And I carry on my shoulder the small liability towards the society. And we, as good people, are hunting another good group of people. So we are meeting frequently good people.
Correct.
There lies the answer of your question.
Right.
मराठी में कहते हैं याची देही याची डोला, यही बॉडी के साथ, with this body and with this eye, I want to see the change.
Right.
And that too good change. Definitely it will come.
Correct. It's better to move away from the pessimism
Ji.
and be optimistic. And if we will try our best, definitely we will weed out this evil of the society.
Ji.
Very well said, sir. Sir, another thing I always think about is about the election manifestos. Nowadays, there is a trend that free electricity, free water, free this, free that. And in a true sense, nothing is free. You also know that. Everything is, I would say, the correct word to use for such scheme is cross-subsidization. Because if something has to be, free, it has to be paid by somebody else.
Yeah.
There are no free lunches in the world. If I am declaring a free electricity to certain such units, I need to heavily impose some sort of tariffs to others, because state has got revenue earmarked through state GST, transfer of properties and stamp duties, VAT on fuel. So there are limited avenues through which they generate the revenue. Either they need to increase the revenue to fund such projects, or they need to slash the budget of existing projects to fund this free wala projects. So what do you think? This free is very enticing word, and people are also falling for it. Is it good for the Indian economy per se? And after all, economy only works when people are made aware of the implications of such drastic decisions. So is it good for the people also or not? That is also a larger question. Your views on that, sir?
किसी भी देश की जनता के लिए मुफ्त का खाना या मुफ्त की सहूलियत आने वाले भविष्य के लिए अच्छी बात नहीं है। लाल बहादुर शास्त्री कहते थे कि देश का किसान अगर सही तरीके से काम करता है तो देश को आज फास्टिंग करने का वक्त नहीं आता। वैसे भी हमारी संस्कृति में भिक्षा के बारे में बहुत सारी डेफिनेशंस है। आज सरकार अपने मैनिफेस्टो के अंदर किसान हो या आम आदमी हो, उसको एक या दूसरे तरीके से मुफ्त की चीज की प्रॉमिस करना, दिस इज नॉट a good sign. In other ways, you are, by giving such facilities, making your people idle and dreamer. उनकी अपेक्षा once you satisfy, next time he will come up with more demand. The typical question is connection between the what and retaining the power. If these are two ends, in between false promises or the manifesto or such free offers to the voters are responsible for making the public idle. अपेक्षाएं बढ़ जाती हैं, काम करने की आदत धीरे 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 सोने लगती है। श्रम जो एक समय पर इस देश का गहना हुआ करता था, आज आलस हम सबके लिए डेली रूटीन वर्क बन गया है। वी यूज्ड टू से सुबह जल्दी उठिए, रात को जल्दी सो जाइए। बात मैं करता हूं, सुनने वाले सोचेंगे ये बुढ़ा आदमी क्या बोल रहा है, बट द फैक्ट इज दैट एनर्जी comes from the morning, and the morning has many benefits, not only by way of your health but mind changing, positive thinking are the key benefits of the morning. Let us come back to manifesto. शादी अगर किसी की करानी है तो लड़का यहाँ पर अच्छी तनख्वाह पर नौकरी कर रहा है, उनका खानदान बहुत बड़ा अच्छा है और आने वाली बिटिया को कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है। इसी तरह का मैनिफेस्टो राजनीतिक दल आम जनता के बीच में छोड़ते नहीं, फेंकते रहे, इसलिए कि फेंकी हुई चीजें बिखर कर रास्ते में किसी के पैर के नीचे कुचल दी जाती है। चुनाव जीते याद करने की आवश्यकता नहीं, अगर चुनाव हारे तो बिल्कुल आवश्यकता नहीं है। मान लो अगर चुनाव में जीत गए, आप इस मैनिफेस्टो को फुलफिल करते हैं तो मेरे और आपकी जेब से इनकम टैक्स जो हम दे रहे हैं उनके पैसे जा रहे हैं।
राइट।
रेवेन्यू सरकार कलेक्ट कर रही है, वहां से जा रहा है। आई सम अप, जब मैं 100 रुपया फ्री में सरकार से पाता हूं, सरकार मुझसे इनडायरेक्टली 150 रुपये वसूल करती है।
करेक्ट।
यही बात है। मैनिफेस्टो चुनाव जीतने के लिए बनता है, लोगों को फुलफिल करने के लिए नहीं बनता है। 20 लाख नौकरियां पैदा करेंगे। क्रिएटिंग द जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज इज वन थिंग, and actually giving the employment to 20 lakhs is another.
Correct.
So we can talk much about this, but manifesto and free वाली चीजें इस देश की संस्कृति से कहीं भी फिट नहीं बैठती है, जो पिछले 30-40 साल से समाज में, राजनीतिक दलों में घर करके बन गई।
So there was a saying, if you remember, don't give a fish to the man, teach him how to fish and he will not stay hungry for a life. And I guess your organization Swavlambi Bharat Abhiyan is also about that make people self-sufficient so that they don't dream about the government jobs. They themselves, they stay on their feet and contribute towards the betterment of the society by creating the jobs rather than seeking the jobs. So if you would like to say a few words about your organization over here.
We at Swavlambi Bharat Abhiyan basically deal with the young people who have preconceived notion that job means government job, job means banking job. But India is an agricultural country. 73% as on date population is in the rural area, depending upon the agriculture activities. It is also a sore state of affair that agriculture activities are very shrinked and people are running to the urban areas. We at Swavlambi Bharat Abhiyan pointing out that don't be job seeker, be job giver. So think big, think new, think out of box, think local, be local and create your own business. However small or big, start at some point. If you find the big name like Nirmawala, like Reliance Wala, every great person has started their career as a small entrepreneur, either selling a washing powder or selling the plastics. So, if we have to find a person who was very rich and became big entrepreneurs, it is very easy thing. But we at Swavlambi Bharat Abhiyan stress on few things. Local, creating opportunities for entrepreneurship, creating infrastructures suitable to rural areas at tehsil or the district level with collaboration with the state government and motivating rural youth for indulging in small business.
Right.
So that unemployment, which is the biggest problem as on date, not only for society, but even government is also facing this situation.
Correct.
So we are making aware to the society at a large, and we are going to work on this at least for 6 to 7 years on this project at national level,
Okay.
not only at Gujarat level. At each and every state, we have our setup, and in Gujarat, in each and every district, we are going to set up Rozgar Srujan Kendra at each district in collaboration with either college or university.
So it would be incubation centers.
Incubation center, rightly you pointed out. So that right information to the right person about various yojana by the government. And if you are having some novel ideas,
Right.
give us. We will channelize it through the government
Right.
and convince the government that this should be incorporated in your existing schemes.
Great.
So this will facilitate the sector of society.
So Swavlambi Bharat Abhiyan is a platform where exchange of ideas will happen,
Naturally.
and there would be brainstorming and the policy discussion, and then there would be
Suggestion.
pinpointed suggestions to the government. Let's implement such policies which will create larger employment in the society as such.
Yes,
Very,
yes.
very great initiative, sir. And I wish you,
Thank you, sir.
great success with this thing.
Thank you.
Sir, you are also associated with Akhil Bharatiya Grahak Panchayat.
Right.
And I would like to, draw an analogy over here. Voter is also a Grahak.
Naturally.
You can say that. And the product over here is a politician who is
You are right.
who is trying to sell himself that you should vote me and these are my plus points. And most of the time we see that voter, the Grahak, the falls for oratory skills and voter mobilization skill, and he does not go for the fine prints of the product as such. And that's why you don't get good politician. I mean, I wouldn't say good politician, but the majority of the politician, they are not known for legislation forming. They are not known for bringing out the policies which are out of the box. They are primarily known for their good oratory skills and drawing out larger crowd. So, do you think there is a product and consumer mismatch over here?
You rightly pointed out. I remember Gabbar Singh.
Okay.
शोले इसलिए प्रख्यात हो गई देश में, यहाँ से 50-50 कोस दूर गांव में जब कोई बच्चा रोता है, उसकी माँ कहती है बेटा सो जा वरना गब्बर आ जाएगा। अब वर्तमान परिप्रेक्ष्य में हम गब्बर तो बोल नहीं सकते किसी को, मगर अपनी वाक चतुराई, ओरेटरी स्किल से, साइकोलॉजी में जिसे मेस्मेरिज्म कहते हैं, तो मेस्मेराइज हो जाते हैं, हम ग्राहक से डील करते हैं। कंज्यूमर इन द सोसाइटी is unorganized sector. Opposite to that, manufacturer, trader, distributors, chamber of commerce and association, all are संगठित है.
Right.
So you rightly pointed out, consumer since not in organized format, they are being driven by the people who lure them, who give them promises, who give them good oratory skill. Therefore, in 2019 Consumer Protection Act in the revised edition, there is a provision for filing a case against the misleading advertisement.
Correct.
Shah Rukh is telling, use this cream, you will be white person, white skinned person. But it doesn't happen. So, we can file a suit against the person who does the modeling, the person who writes the script,
Right.
and the person or the company who produces the product. Slowly and gradually, मोह की माया से छुटकर मेहनत से ताल्लुकात रखने वाले लोग आजकल समाज में खड़े हो रहे हैं.
Right.
हम इंतजार में हैं दक्ष और सक्रिय ग्राहकों के संगठन की फौज के लिए. हम सैनिक हैं. सैनिक के लिए आवश्यक चीज सेनापति की ओर से आगे उठाए जाने वाले कदम की ब्लूप्रिंट होती है.
Correct.
So we have roadmap. We will be providing the roadmap to the consumers. चतुर बनिए, चालाक बनिए, सजाग बनिए और सक्रिय बनिए. छोड़ मत दीजिए, जीत करिए और स्वाभिमान से जीत करिए. पैसा कितना है उस पर मत जाइए. अपने पसीने की कमाई कोई लूट के तो नहीं ले जा रहा, उस पर जीत करिए. तो हो सकता है गब्बर सिंह की बातों में न आकर बच्चा उसकी माँ से फिर से पूछेगा, माँ तू सही तो बोल रही है ना, गब्बर मुझे लगता नहीं कि आएगा.
Right, right, right. Very well said, sir. Sir, another thing, like I always think, what is the primary role of a politician, and why do he or she, does the politics per se? The main reason for him should be to do the social service and to make citizens' life easy. Like generally for people like us, we don't need politicians to run our houses. We are well capable to run our houses. We just want a conducive environment to live and carry out our business, and that's what is expected from the politicians as such. Now, when I see during election season, most of the politicians carrying out their big fat rallies and thumping their chest and saying, in my rally I have gathered around 1 lakh people, my rally I have gathered around 2 lakh people, there's sea of people everywhere, and you see certain roads being blocked, most of the police and administration getting stuck up with those sort of rallies, and due to which there is impact on the general law and order also. And I wonder with myself, if primary role of politician is to make a person's life easy in a longer term, he's just defying that primary role by carrying out these rallies, which are in a way disrupting the normal life of citizen. So this is sort of conundrum and contradiction with what he should be doing and how he is carrying out the normal affair of the politics per se. Don't you think this practice of mega rallies and mega this all should change? We are living in a form where digitization is happening. There are various modes of mass communication. Our Pradhan Mantri ji is doing Man Ki Baat every fortnight lately, and carrying out the social informative messages on that platform. On the same line, don't you think this Chunav Prachar modes should also change?
In US, there is almost no rally.
Correct.
So there are debates on the issue depending upon the geographical location of that particular state or the city. And prospective candidates, what they have planned to eradicate such issues concerning to that public corner, those are being discussed. Here, as you said, political rally means expenses of public money, not in terms of lakhs but in crores. We, through Right to Information Act, get the statistics that A, B and C political parties have collected the fund to the tune of thousands of crores of rupees. So, social service was the concept during the freedom fighting struggle. There is a story. Shahid Bhagat Singh's mother was sick, and his group told Bhagat Singh, you take some money and get treatment of your mother. Bhagat Singh, very much annoyed, and told that I have only one mother, and that is the Bharat Mata. So my maternal mother is subsidiary to Bharat Mata. Today we have seen full page advertisement of Chief Minister of Punjab stating 5.35 crore Punjabis will be taking oath as chief minister.
Right.
This is not fact. Maybe he has very powerfully win the election. We respect the result of voters and we also respect chief minister.
Correct.
But spending money like this is nothing else but extravagantly spending the money of his voters. Today, social service is not the criteria to contest the election, but to be the first person in the society by adopting any means is the object of contesting the election. And that is the reason why a person who spent 50 years in one party and denied election even in legislative assembly is immediately jump over to other political party to get only the tickets in the legislative assembly.
Right, right.
This is very painful situation for the citizen. But we need to recognize such persons and do something in concrete shape that real social service they render to their voters. This is the only opportunity voters get. But to our unfortunate part, hardly 60% of total voters cast their vote. And painfully telling, so-called educated, rich people, intellectual people, and highly placed citizen of the society purposefully, or rather with idle laziness nature, they avoid election and casting votes.
They think election is a holiday as such.
Election is holiday, remain in home, enjoying the Wednesday and Thursday.
Watch a nice movie,
Watch
and enjoy.
Right.
And then you don't have right to blame others for the hardship you face as such.
But those sector of people always criticize and blaming the government.
Correct.
So this is a tragedy, but we live in society.
Yes, you're right.
And we speak for that.
Correct.
Right now we are speaking.
Yes.
We are not getting any naya paisa by making this podcast.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is the only attempt. People listen, people feel. We don't need name
Exactly.
to spread good things to the good people.
Right.
Let us hope this journey becomes the voyage. There is a difference between journey and voyage.
Correct.
So the journey is planned and voyage is unplanned. So हम ऐसी सफर में खो जाए जहाँ हम अपने आप को ढूंढते रहे, आखिर में हम अपने आप को मिले.
Very well said.
Journey means प्रवास, tour, and voyage means yatra. Let us join this vichar yatra. We through this podcast appeal over, join the vichar yatra. आपकी सोच अच्छी है, जुड़िए. हमारी सोच अच्छी लगती है, spread the message.
Correct.
So this is the purpose.
मिले सुर मेरा तुम्हारा तो सुर बने हमारा. In that context. Sir, many times we see that people raise voice of certain section. Lastly, we see this farmer agitation. And unfortunately, there were reformative bills which had to be scrapped due to some political issue. So once in a while, people agitate about the issues concerning to certain sections of the society. But one thing I miss is the real minority of India, the taxpayers, who runs the Indian economy, who funds all the welfare schemes of government. They are largely unheard. And one point, you rightly said that, they don't participate much into the electoral procedure. And that's why, they are getting neglected, and rightly, political parties are not thinking them as a dependable vote bank to lean upon. And that's why they are being neglected. What could be the way out of it? How their voices can be heard? I mean, obviously, one thing you said that they need to join with certain vichardharas like Mo, Maya and Mehnat, which we are trying over here. They can connect with us, or through other channels where their ideology is matching. But is there any way through which their voices can be heard, and real sort of reform happening on the ground level?
Basically speaking, at the time of election, some corner of group people pick up the issue, gives them light, and spread it like a beneficial to some people in the society. Intellectual people who are opposing certain ideology are more active. So in first I say, though policies are beneficial to the people, some section of educated group proves that this is going to ruin your future, creating an air of opposition and taking the advantage of that scenario. This is one thing. Second thing, Vijay, you rightly pointed out, taxpayer is totally neglected. And I also see the reason is taxpayer themselves. Then I will come what could be the probable solution. Taxpayer thinks he knows everything, he understands everything, and all these people are fool people. Why should I go to them and let them do what they wanted to do? Finally, there remains the sufferer, because they are satisfied by seeing the situation, what they conceived prior to election. Let me point out specific examples. For example, I oppose Congress party. So during the course of election, I conceived notion, why should I vote for Congress? What they have done? Correct. They are not going to win. They are always neglecting the minority people. They are always neglecting the taxpayer people. And when the result comes out, I satisfy myself. See what I was telling. They're never going to make the things. Right. So this is second thing. Third thing, you asked me, what could be the probable solution? The only solution which comes to my mind to give importance to the taxpayer is the awareness, creating awareness campaign, forming some group, small group who understands the vyavastha, the parivartan and sahbhagita, the management, the change and the participation. If such groups, maybe of 10 to 12 people, are created, at every 10,000 voters, they can influence by way of their speech, by way of their statistical understanding, and by way of bringing out positives and negatives of manifesto and government policies
Right.
to rest of the 10,000 people. Suppose we are 10 people, then we have 10,000 people. So my role is to handle the 1,000 people.
Correct.
So in 1 month, I can reach out to those 1,000 people by way of forming the subgroup and all these things.
Correct.
Encouraging them to participate in the ideological change process.
Correct.
Making them realize that your contribution of tax is going to form an important part of getting the good services from the government. And finally, making them aware that if we will be active, government has to listen us. So these are some ideas which comes to my mind through which taxpayer can make their influence.
Right.
This is possible. I don't think this is not possible.
But they
even as on that, so many such groups are working in the
Correct.
Yes, yes.
But they need to take the lead. The taxpayers themselves need to take the lead. No outer force can
No.
come and rescue them out of this situation.
They themselves have to make the lead in the process.
Correct. Very, very well said, sir.
So sensitizing or sensing the gravity of issue, then understanding and educating the issue, and then making others the same thing.
Correct.
This can be the process.
Yes. Then change can propel themselves again.
कुछ समय चाहिए, कुछ संपत्ति चाहिए,
Right.
कुछ दान चाहिए, अनुदान चाहिए और कुछ संकल्प चाहिए, तभी सोच सकारात्मक हो सकती है.
Correct. Sir, 2014 as such, changed the political scenario in India. Like sometimes, I miss 80s and 90s when there used to be hodgepodge government. Outside support was needed. There were, certain parties which were within the
Hanging parliament, words was used.
Now, those words are, I would say, erased out of the political dictionary totally. And it is good also for economy because economy also needs political stability.
Yeah.
You cannot seek foreign investment without having
Unless-
political stability in the country. But certain section, come out and say, see, because of this voter polarization, there is no Vipaksh as such. The Vipaksh is non-existent. And the democratic balance has gone into haywire. Now, this single largest majority or brute force majority in the electoral politics is not healthy for the democracy. If you have a weakened opposition and lack of local leaders, the people's voice cannot be reached to the ruling party as such. Now, they have some sort of merit into their argument as well, but we the voters, how can we directly approach the ruling party without having influenced by the hidden agendas of certain parties or hidden agenda of certain political leaders? Is there a way we can directly approach the ruling party and get our voices heard, because we cannot influence how ruling party is going to perform during the elections. We cannot we cannot have a voice over the performance of the opposition party as well. What we can have a voice is, how to reach our, how to communicate our voice to the ruling party per se. First, I would like to your comments upon, is the democracy got weakened due to the weakened opposition? And second, what is the other way through which voter can send their voices directly to the ruling party, bypassing this Vipaksh and local leader sort of mechanism?
So first thing is concentration of power by the one party. So people have put the faith and the will of the politicians are the key factor, that they voted for them, and therefore there is a absolute majority. There are plus and minus for absolute majority. When you have to take decision in the interest of country, absolute power is must. Certain decisions by the recent government has taken, which are in the interest of the country, that is very true. And to get the absolute majority, party has to work not in 4 directions, but in 6 directions. That is underground and upper ground. That means learning from the past and propelling the blueprint for future. Southwest, northeast, that is true. But these are the 6 directions. And only after that, coupled with political power and good characters, party gets absolute majority. This is one portion. In any healthy democracy, opposition is must. You said there is no opposition. There is opposition. But opposition is divided into Mamta and Samta. That is the reason. Opposition is not performing their duty to their voters in the right spirit.
Correct.
You criticize government, but on merit. If government at large doing good things for the larger sector of the people of the country, opposition should appreciate. We had such opposition till 1970. But since then, only job of opposition left out is how to survive and how to save the existence.
Correct.
That becomes the only duty to opposite, and criticizing on each and every issues, whether it is Rafael or Dapel.
And even
I will criticize the government.
Correct.
And second thing, for the people to reach out to politicians, we have digital platform.
Right.
And we have Twitter.
Correct.
And those who are vigorously chasing such platform, they are audible and they are reachable by the leaders also. So we need to change our habit. And one thing I miss, in the coming 5 to 6 years, opposition is coming back. and we hope they will perform a good job. So, when there are new students, they are more dedicated and concentrating to their studies and syllabus. Likewise, let us hope good opposition come, oppose the issues which are concerning to the common people of the India, and bring out some amicable solution, not in submerging the majority party, but retaining the individual identity as well as supporting the common issues
Correct.
taken up by the political party. This is going to happen. India has a good understanding, though it is easily influenced by other ideology.
Correct.
But let us hope something will good come out.
Let's be optimistic about
Yeah.
the scenario which is coming forward.
Ji.
Correct, sir. Sir, it was a pleasure talking to you. First of all, I'd like to thank you for coming on Moma and Mehnat and giving your valuable time. I hope you found the discussion to be pertinent, and we wish you luck for your Swavlambi Abhiyan,
Thank you.
as well as whatever initiatives you are taking under the Akhil Bharatiya Grahak Panchayat, and wish you best of luck for all the things coming forward for both the organizations.
Thank you. I will sum up in 1.5 minutes. This is not मेरा और तेरा, ये हम सबका है. कुछ लेकर चलते हैं कंधों पर, मैं बोझ कहाँ समझता हूँ, बांट लेता हूँ अपनों से, हल्का सा बन जाता हूँ. दिन ढले या रात आए, अक्सर यही मैं सोचता हूँ, आज मुझसे जो हो न पाया, कल कैसे होगा संभव, हर दिन मैं ये सोचता हूँ. आपकी भी यात्रा चलती रहे, लोग जुड़ते रहे, निस्वार्थ भाव से कदम चलते रहे. मंजिल हमने जो चाही है, आज नहीं तो कल मिलती रहे, न मेरे लिए न तेरे लिए. मंजिल हमको मिलती देखकर लोग हमसे जुड़ते रहे, लोग हमसे जुड़ते रहे. फिर से एक बार धन्यवाद.
That's it from Moma and Mehnat. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.